one of the things, if you are a meditator, I mean, you cannot be in anything I am involved in unless you are a serious meditator, because if you are a meditator, you have adhyatmic experience, you have a different sense of time, you appreciate silence, you have the joy of silence, you become a very creative person, you are rooted at a level where nothing will shake you. If they fight you, accuse you, blame you, okay, that's only at one level, but at a deep level you're still very strong because of the adhyatmic clarity you have. So you must have tapasya, you must have meditation, you must have grace of Guru, you must have these things in you. You must have Shraddha. So intellectual Kshatriya is not outward, showing off, bombastic, going make some speech, catch a few one-liners in a seminar and then go start putting out blogs. A lot of people doing that. So I have three components. People ask me, how have you learnt and how have you become a Kshatriya? There's a lot of factors in one's own life, like how I was raised, my influence of my parents and all of these things. But I would say there are three important things I want to talk about. One is this whole sadhana. The sadhana, the tapasya, the inner process to prepare yourself. When I left my work around 25 or so years ago, my guru said, you first have a lot of work to do on your own. Don't go around talking. Actually, it was many, many years later. I had been quietly doing a lot of work when I got Guru's permission that you now go talk. And what happened, what was the occasion when I was asked to do the talking, there's another story I can tell you. But I was suddenly surprised one day to be told, okay, now you go talk. Because I had been told that, you know, you have a lot of, inside you have to bake and cook and this thing has to incubate. You see, the tapas has to happen. So this is one component, the inner process. And it never stops. I have to keep doing it all my life, trying to get better. I slip, I have to recover. Second part is serious intellectual study of texts. I have a library of few thousand books. Until my eyes started, you know, giving me problems a couple years ago, I used to be furious reader all the time. So I read most of those, taken notes, hired some people to type notes here and there that I've taken. And these texts are not only texts from our tradition and commentaries, but also texts of Western thought. I'm extremely well read in Western philosophy, Western history, you know, both their religious side, then their Enlightenment movement, then the post-Enlightenment movement. I'm read in science because I've trained as a scientist. So I've done that part, and I've also done a lot our stuff, which is Vedanta and Shaivism and a lot of Sri Aurobindo and a lot of Buddhism. I've studied those kind of things quite from many voices. So the study along with the adhyatmic practice keep working together. The more adhyatmic experience you have, the greater the clarity with which you can study the text. You go back to, every time I go back to Gita, it means more to me. And I every 6 months read the Gita again. Because I discover new things, new ways of looking. It's like many levels. So as I mature and my clarity gets better, I get new meanings into this. And conversely, the more I've learnt and understood text and studies of Shastra and criticisms and arguments and whatnot, the more it helps my own adhyatmic state and my own meditative practice. So the intellectual side helps the meditative side, the embodied inner adhyatmic side, and vice versa. The more you can get these experiences, the more the text makes sense to you. So these are two parts. What do you think is the third part? Any of you? First part is adhyatmic practice. Second part is text. Third part is? Action. Yes. A particular kind of action, debate. I go and encounter my opponents. For 25 years, I started out going to conferences and having if they would not put me on the panel, I would sit there and argue. I would read all their dissertations, not somebody over-opinionated, having read their stuff. Learn in advance who are the speakers and read that stuff. and be qualified and good at raising issues. I would read all the dissertations on Hinduism that are being produced in the Western Academy, go to all these religious studies conferences, study who these people are, and they would not be able to answer. So they would ignore me or abuse me or keep me out, but I would then start writing blogs. You see? So they didn't know now, do we ignore him? Do we acknowledge him? So they tried all kind of games. They even tried buying me out. That okay, we'll make him very important, and then maybe he'll be one of us and he will not bother. But because of the adhyatmic rootedness and grace of Guru and my own study of texts and my unshakable idea of my identity, I am not for sale. So it's not, they can't hire me and they can't fire me because there's nothing they can do. So this is I'm a bit of an anomaly because they haven't come across these kind of people before. The people who can for some price or other for sale. I keep making fun of the Indians who are sold out that at least make sure you sell at a high price. So we don't insult us that we are cheap, If you have to sell out, then get some 10,000 crores or whatever, get some big value. So our value is high, So this is our problem, people are for sale at different values. So the three parts are, you start with your own inner process. Depending on any sampradaya, any parampara, any siddhant, whatever system you follow, depending on your guru, people ask me, how do I start? I say join an organization. Don't try to do it on your own. Either an individual guru or an organization. So you go to Ramakrishna Mission, you go to Chinmaya Mission, you go to this one, that one, a lot of organizations. Nowadays we're very lucky we have. For people of all kinds. Very modern westernized people, all the way to exceedingly traditional people. There are many doorways to enter. Don't say this one is better, whichever one suits you. What is best for you is the one that you are going to follow carefully and closely, not what somebody else followed. Maybe the different one is good for you. So you must have a process, you must be very loyal to that process. That is the first thing. Secondly, you must do a lot of reading and study and try to understand these things. Thirdly, you must be practicing this knowledge in open court with no don't be fearful, you will get hit, you will be embarrassed, people will say all kind of things to you, and that is what is going to toughen you. You're going to become tough. If you don't have encounters in the Kurukshetra, how are you going to become a Kshatriya? You cannot become a Kshatriya sitting in the VIP stand looking at the battle through television. It's not like that. You have to do it. So those are the 3 points I would